All right, so I'm just jumping on here. I had another request to go over numbers 8, 10, and 13 from our 7.5 worksheet 1, which I assigned before break. So number 8, first one I was asked about. Notice that first of all, our parentheses are isolated, so we do not need to do anything to get them isolated. We will then use the inverse of raising something to the 2/3 power. To do that, we will raise both sides to the reciprocal power, which would be the 3/2 power. I'm going to go ahead and do that on both sides. Raise the left to the 3/2 and the right to the 3/2. Now on the left, what happens is these either cancel out, or you can multiply them together, which will get you 6/6, which is then 1, but those all go away. Now on this side, I would not suggest typing this in your calculator. I would suggest that you do this part by hand, because your calculator sometimes only gives you one answer when you should get two answers because of a positive and negative symbol. So just be careful. So remember, the denominator of this root is a 2, which is a square root. That's the index. So this will really be the square root of 9 to the 3rd power. And then we have to think, what is the square root of 9? The square root of 9 is technically positive and negative 3. So we need to then cube positive 3 and cube negative 3. So 3 times 3 times 3 is 27, but negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 is a negative 27. So we should have x minus 2 equals positive and negative 27. Now at this point, I usually just go ahead and set up two equations. Since x is not isolated yet, I'll just break it into two separate equations. X minus 2 equals a positive 27 and x minus 2 equals a negative 27. Then using my inverse operations, I'll add 2 to both sides to get 29, and I'll add 2 to both sides to get negative 25. And both of these do work. If you want to check them in the graphing calculator, you can, but you don't actually have to. The directions just had said to solve. After your 7.5 day 2 lesson, you will want to check them in the calculator. So I'll go ahead and show how to do it anyways. If you want to check 29, we would press 29, and then we will store it, STO for x, hit enter, and then we just go ahead and type the original equation into the calculator. So we'll do parentheses, x minus 2, caret to the 2/3 power. Hit enter, we get 9, so that one checks. Now to check the negative 25, we'll take negative 25, store it for x. And then to shortcut your work, you can press second enter 2 times. It'll recall what we typed 2 times ago, but now it's going to plug in negative 25 instead of 29. Notice we also get 9. So both of those do check out. Those are both answers. Moving on to the next question, I had a question on number 10. Now number 10 was not isolated to begin with. You are not allowed to distribute this 3. Okay, so the first thing you have to do is get rid of it by undoing multiplication with division. So I first divided by 3 on both sides to get me x plus 3 to the 3/4 equals 27. Again, to undo an exponent of 3/4, we use the reciprocal, which is 4/3. So I'm going to raise both sides to the 4/3 power. Again, you can see these cancel out, or multiply and get 12/12. So on the left, we're left with just x plus 3. Again, I highly recommend that you complete this by hand because the calculator will not get you both answers. So off to the side, remember the index in the bottom tells me that this is a cube root. So this is the cube root of 27 to the 4th power. Now the cube root of 27 is just 3. Not positive or negative 3, just 3, positive 3. Then 3 to the 4th is just positive 81. So this one only did get us one answer instead of 2. And then our last step then, of course, is to subtract 3 on both sides, and we get 78. I'll show the check real quick. 78, we'll store it for x. And then we'll type the original equation in, so 3 parentheses x plus 3, caret to the 3/4 power. And hopefully when we hit enter, we will get 81. And we do. And the last request that I got today so far is number 13. So number 13 was a volume equation. The spherical water tank holds 15 cubic feet of water. Find the diameter of the tank. And they give us an equation right here. Volume equals pi 6 d cubed. So this 1500 is the volume. So that is going to go in on the left-hand side for volume, which I already plugged in, equals pi over 6 times d to the third power. So you can then do one of two things. You can either undo multiplication of pi 6 with division of pi 6. Or what I did was I multiplied by the reciprocal on both sides, which is 6 over pi and 6 over pi. That allowed me to, again, cancel the 6's and the pi's, leaving me with just d cubed on the left-hand side. Over here, you may want to put this 15,000 over 1, so we can multiply those together to get 9,000 over pi equals d cubed. And then lastly, to undo a cube, we cube root. So my calculator, I would press my math button, option 4 for my cube root, and then we'll type in 90,000, excuse me, divided by pi. And we do get 30.598, so 30.6 feet. Again, feel free to email me if you have other questions on this worksheet or the 7.5 worksheet too.